The number one thing threatening the U.S. housing market. Hey everybody, Scott Walters. Buckle up, strap in. We got a hard-hitting pull, no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows or sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. So the number one thing threatening the U.S. housing market, it's really funny to me, or I should just say curious. Because unless you've lived through a boom-bust era, a downturn, a housing crash, as a bill-paying adult and suffered some of its blowback firsthand, you have no idea of what we're up against, friends. And we are up against it again. And before I tell you my number one reason I believe that we are at high crash risk, and I'm not here cheering for a crash, it's just as a real estate agent, what I saw was nothing short of head spinning. It was like a showdown at the OK Corral, a shootout at the Wild West working in real estate, an episode of the Twilight Zone. It was just unorganic growth, and it was such a market manipulated situation due to the crisis and stimulus, and we overstimulated the biggest asset class on planet Earth, the U.S. housing market, and that's going to have some dangers, friends. Now, right now, we're kind of in suspended animation, but there's a lot of areas of the country now that are clearly showing they couldn't sustain themselves, and I expect others to follow. But the reality is the big pop hasn't happened. And this could be a slow bleed out. It could just flatline for years, or it could be a flash crash. Like it's almost a coin toss for me. But if I was a betting man, I would have to put a bet that we're going to face another 2008 downturn. And I'm really not looking forward to it. I own real estate. I'll take a hit with my real estate. Luckily, my real estate wasn't bought in the bubble, but a lot of people's purchases were done in this crisis era, in this bubble, over 20 million. And that's enough. If we lose 20 million homes to foreclosure, it will light off a foreclosure wave, and it will be dominating all major news media outlets, and contagion will set in. And today, with our digital diet, herd mentality, reverse herd mentality in this case, we'll sweep the nation, and we're going to see a downturn. And this is going to be really hard to save. They will try. There will be government intervention, I am sure, because of the outcry for support. And that's what happened in the last downturn, but it didn't save it. And so the challenge with this bubble versus even the 2008 bubble, this was overnight appreciation to never seen before highs. So it really outpaced the 2008 bubble, and in the way in which it was orchestrated: stimulus money, stimulus measures, and stimulus programs. And one of those programs was mortgage forbearance. A lot of people didn't have to pay their mortgage. They were able to put it on the back end of their loan. So they're just stacking more debt on top of already bad debt. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good. A lot of people might have bought their house in the bubble and then immediately applied for mortgage forbearance. You didn't even have to. In 2008, you had to have a hardship. You had to put it in writing, and it had to be approved by your mortgage holder, which was pretty easy to do. This one, you didn't even have to do that. You could just call and say, mortgage forbearance, please. And they're like, no problem. You didn't even have to have a hardship. I mean, so much market manipulation took place in this one. But the challenge with this one, again, friends, is the overnight appreciation. It was virtually overnight. And we talked about this, at least I know I did. Initially, I said, man, this is going to have blowback. The dust will settle. We are going to pay the piper. We kicked the can too far down the road. We should have risen rates the second the market started to exhibit that bubble behavior. But here is the kicker, my friends. This part's shocking for me. We had areas go up 40, almost double, at 50% in value. Those are unsustainable run-ups. I could see if you had a 50% run up maybe after 20, 30 years. That was traditionally maybe where you would see a property get to that level of appreciation. But to do it in a few very short years and the way it was orchestrated is just too much. It's going through a massive stress test right now. So we know the main thing is going to be the unemployment. As soon as unemployment starts to spike, a lot of the people that bought homes were white collar wage earners, and they were able to go remote or migrate to different states and or go remote. And now they're getting pulled back to the office. And a lot of these companies are doing layoffs, and it's the white collar sector that's doing these layoffs. It's not the blue collar sector that is doing the layoffs. The service sector is, in fact, went on a hiring spree, and the tech sector and the white collar wage earner sector went on a firing spree and laying people off and quiet quitting. That's what we're up against. But a lot of that's getting swept under the rug. A lot of it due to the election and the political climate. And that's another thing I will say. I lived through the last 2008 crash, suffered a little of its blowback as a bill-paying adult. One of the things I will say on this one, we didn't have grandmas and toddlers on screen phones. We didn't have the social media component like we have now. Markets move really quick now, courtesy of social media. And so we're all so very, very connected. These markets will move, and they will move quick. And we are going to have reverse FOMO. People are going to, in fact, start running for the exits. And a lot of people now, the only thing saving them, and we've talked about this before, as we've covered this market, is the golden handcuff effect. A lot of these people got into those ultra low mortgage rates, so their cost to carry was more manageable, but they're watching their homes now go upside down. And that's the challenge. When your home goes upside down, you now have an upside down asset, an anchor, so to speak. And so, you no longer own your home. Your mortgage rate doesn't save you. Your house now owns you because you have no choice but to stick it out. And if you're lucky, maybe, just maybe, and even with those low interest rates, many of these homes don't pencil out in terms of, hey, honey, I lost my job, can't make this payment, even with our low interest rate. Maybe we can put a renter in there so we don't have to go into foreclosure. A lot of these homes cost more to own with that low interest rate than they can rent for. And a lot of people just don't have the skill sets to go ahead and move themselves into some cracker box, clean out the house, get it advertised, screen tenants, and place a tenant. And the last thing they want to do is lose the house. So, honey, I don't want to lose the house. I really love the house. Do we have to move out? And most husbands, they don't want to move. I remember when in 2008, I had to bail out of a house, and my kids were in the local schools, and it's like I was the one carrying the weight. Everybody else was oblivious in my house to what was going on, but I knew what was going on. I'm like, we're in trouble. I have to get in front of this. And that's exactly what I did. I got in front of it. I didn't wait for a foreclosure. No, I put that thing on the market, went to the bank and said, here you go. This is what your house is worth. Do you want to accept this offer now? Because you can see it's trending downwards. If you don't take this offer, you're just going to get less. And if I walk away from it and you have to sell it yourself in a foreclosure setting, you're going to get even less again. But here's the thing, my friends. The number one thing threatening this housing market is, in fact, that they went up in value almost 50% on a national average, probably about 40%. And, in the last downturn, we had the Vegases, the Phoenixes, a lot of the hot spots that had those big foreclosure concentrations. And now it's different. Texas, Florida is the new Nevada, and Arizona. Texas and Florida are already exhibiting crash behavior. So my point is this, friends. When you see properties, if you're sitting in a property that had 40% overnight appreciation, that should scare you, because it's not going to sustain itself. And it created the wealth effect for a lot of us, went out and started spending differently. And like I said, if we get into a situation, which I believe, unfortunately, we will, unemployment numbers will start to spike. And then all of a sudden, when there's a lot of defaults going on, we're going to start grabbing some headlines and putting even more pressure on what's already a fragile housing market. And final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator, as a real estate guy that wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now, they're shark infested. U.S. housing market, welcome to the swimming pool. We're in the deep end with it, my friends. Don't fall asleep on this one. I know a lot of this is in a lot of people's rear view mirrors. Don't let it get too far back there. Like I said, we have to keep our eye on this one, because if we lose the U.S. housing market, we will in fact lose everything. We will be thrusted back into a great recession. Many top economists are in fact predicting that. And I would have to agree. I would never suggest anybody do anything that I'm not doing or willing to do myself. Insulate yourself the best of your ability. Save your cash for a rainy day. Don't wait till your house is upside down and hanging on by your fingernails. If you think your house is in trouble, get it to market ASAP. It's better to be prepared for something and have it not happen than have something happen and not be prepared. If or when this thing plays out, you halfway expected it, you're going to be able to operate within it much more efficiently, where many other people are going to be a deer in the headlights because they didn't hear messages like this. And that's why I'll be here to blow the lid off it every step of the way, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video. If you'd like to contact me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It'd be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, you're going to love the next video. And there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.